We are starting 31 days of Halloween off with a classic vampire. Let's do this. The eye look, we're going to take a super deep purple all over the lid. We're going to blend that out with a slightly lighter purple. And then we're just going to add like a pinky purple to the very edge. Use my everyday foundation because I'm already pale. I take a brightening concealer to the high points of the face just to really oomph it up, you know? Some pretty standard contouring. You could go as heavy with this as you want. And then we're going to set it all down with the powder. Also, I know it seems like we're doing the lip weirdly early, but I more want the stain than the gloss of this, so I'm just giving it some time to set. We're going to line the eyes with a black liner, and then we're going to smudge that out using the darkest purple and progressively getting lighter to that pinky purple. I also took a red shadow around the inner corner and down into kind of the eye bag area, just to make the eyes look a bit more irritated. I decided to use the Glisten Rose Red Mascara. So there are lots of ways you can do the vampire bite. I was going with the most accessible way of using eyelash glue, but I will say my applicator isn't great. If you'd like a squeezy tube, I think it would be a lot better. Let them completely dry, powder them down, and then using a mix of a red lipstick and a purple lipstick, I just add some bruising. I'm using the Glisten Cosmetics Juicy Tint and Cherry as my fake blood. I just don't have any mouth safe blood at the moment, and I knew I wanted to get this all up in my teeth. And just like that, we've our first Halloween tutorial down. Any guesses on what tomorrow's will be? Let's turn ourselves into a creepy bloody ghost monster thing. I don't really know what this look is. So I start off, I'm just gluing down my brows and then putting a layer of powder over them. Using a red paint, I'm marking out where I want the mouth to go. I don't like how the brown looked on the red, so I just went straight in with the black. Now we're going to take our latex and in smallish sections, we're going to lay it down. We're going to put on some cotton, we're going to soak the cotton, and we're going to kind of shape it into whatever shape we're looking for. Just build up around the entire mouth. If you're like me and you find the sponge quite awkward, I do find using like the end of a brush really helpful, because it's just a lot more precise. I can control it more. I found that really helped me. And now we let it dry. Once it's set, I just powder it down. Don't paint yourself white everywhere except around the eyes. So we're doing the paint job of the mouth. I'm gonna be so real, I don't really like how this turned out. I think I went a little too overboard with the colours and I would have rather it be a lot more toned back. But we live and we learn. We're going for vibes, not accuracy. Red all over, then we're gonna put some brown. We're gonna add some black over it. We're gonna add more red. I just go back and forth with the colours. The thing that kind of got me okay with how this looks was taking a stipple sponge in the white paint and taking that kind of all over. And now we're just going to take a black paint and completely black out the eyes. And I'm going to set those with a black eyeshadow. And I also take a little bit of black and do some slight contouring apparently. Now, the blood, my favourite. I put this all inside the mouth, so it kind of looks like the blood is oozing out of the mouth. And then we are done. So Halloween day 2, creepy ghost face, bloody mouth. I really need to think of a better name for this. Stay tuned for day 3 tomorrow. We're keeping things nice and easy for day 3, the mermaid. I start off with foundation, concealer, set it all down with some powder, and now we're gonna put a fishnet over our heads. You've probably seen this method before. It's the fishnet for the scales. I'm personally using shimmer eyeshadows, but if you prefer to use matte, that's all good. I start off with the darkest purpley blue in all of the close to the contour places, and then I add the shimmery purple to the edges of that, and then to the edges of that I add the shimmery blue. And when you're taking off the fishnet, I like to kind of pull it out from the face and then up, just to avoid mushing any lines together. And then I literally just take a purple shimmer all over the lid, take a pink shimmer under the lid, and I tried to use white eyeliner as mascara, but it was not working, so I put on some blue instead, because that still helped in theme. I threw on this glittery lip gloss from Essence, and then my camera overheated, so off camera I did the same scale technique on my shoulders. I sprayed myself down with a lot of setting spray before taking the photos, but that's it. Nice, quick, easy. I'll have a video on how I did the hair up in the next day, and come back tomorrow and you can see how the fishing accident went. And now for the SFX side. I put down like kind of 2 dots of Prozade, but just wait for that to turn clear, and then I put a little bit of Scar Wax on. This stuff is horrendous to work with, but I love the effect it gives. But just make sure to coat your fingers and whatever tool you're using in Vaseline to stop it from sticking. And we're just gonna blend that into the neck just to make it look nice and even and smooth and natural. And then just set that down with some powder. I do put the wires in at this point, but it was actually really awkward to paint around them, so I took them out. And using a mix of a red lipstick and a deep purple, I do some bruising around where the wound entry and exit point is, some around the eyes, and a tiny bit around the mouth. And then using the Glisten lip tint in Cherry, we are going to use that as some mouth safe blood, and also just a bit around the wires. It's really quick, really easy, but really effective. Any guesses on what tomorrow's look's gonna be? We are 5 days into Halloween, so let's tackle the God of Thunder. We're starting off with the eyes, and I'm using the NYX Jumbo Pencil in Milk as my base. And on one side, I'm taking it kind of out onto the temple and top of the cheekbone, because that's where we're going to draw a lightning. We're going to take our lighter shade of blue and pack this all over the lids. We're going to take a deeper blue to blend it out, and then we're going to take a clean fluffy brush just to really buff out the edges. I said I wanted to add a little dimension, so I took this kind of green. It looks more green on camera, it's more of a blue shade in person. I put this all over the eyelid, and then I take the dark blue under the eye with a pencil brush. Oh, hang on. No, I use black to tighten waterline, and then I use the dark blue to blend that out. I like to pull the bluey black mix up to the outer corner of the eye, and just add a little fun. Once you have the other side, we can get started on doing our lightning storm. I'm taking a light blue, and I can't describe this any way other than I just pack it on. Taking the dark blue, and I start working along the edges, and then I start adding it through the middle, just to kind of break up the light blue and give it a little oomph and depth, so it looks like stormy clouds. Using a light blue eyeliner, I just start drawing in all of the lightning strikes. If I can do this, anyone can do this. You just need to draw some squiggly lines, and you will get there. It'll be okay. I struggled, but I got there. This is the part I was freaking out about. I take a white eyeliner, just in the center to add a little highlight, and this was hard, and I definitely messed up a couple spots, but it's fine. And now for the part I was so excited to do, I'm taking the Glisten split liner in Red Velvet. Yeah, you just kind of have to commit to doing the lines. It's just 2 straight red lines, and you'll even see it kind of smudges on my neck. I just let it dry completely, and then I go in with a makeup wipe just to clean it up. It gets a little messed up around the eye as well, but I decided to leave that because I like in the film when his looks a little messed up. So throw on some mascara and nude lip, and you are ready to go fight the gods. Stay tuned for day 6. Halloween day 6. Let's turn ourselves into K-pop demon hunters Derpy Tiger. We're doing our eyeshadow to match his eyes, so we're going to start off with a yellow all over the lid. I take an orange all through the crease, and I take it to the outer and inner corner to kind of create a halo eye. And I use a red then to blend out the orange. And then it's just a lot of back and forth building up the colours. And then it was all looking way too flat, so I put a shimmery yellow gold over top. I do my base makeup, and then I come back to the eyes, and I decide to bring the red more into the brow bone, because you can see on the inside of his eye there's more red at the inner corner. I also take the red under the eyes, and I blend it out with our orange shades. I take a black shadow, and I use that to define the inner corner and to draw on a cat eye, because he's a tiger. It took me a lot of playing around to get the inner corner to look how I wanted, but eventually we get to like a nice pointed look. I throw on some white eyeliner and then some blue mascara to match his fur. I didn't want to go full on face paint for this look, so I decided I'd contour in a dark blue to bring in the colour of his fur. I then take this gorgeous pink eyeshadow just to do the nose. I love how this looks, but I also feel like I look like Dipper from Gravity Falls. So the forehead markings, I was never good at drawing anyway, but I get serious shapes now, and oof, this was really difficult. I struggled a lot. I tried to do it with liquid liner and I completely messed it up. I decided to start over with a black eyeshadow on a little angled brush, and that was a lot easier. It was still tricky, but I got it done, and I used a pencil liner to do the 3 dots in the middle. So I blocked out my bottom lip with some concealer, I filled the top lip in with a black liner, drew on the little fangs with a white liquid liner. A lot of parts of this went wrong and were very tricky, but I'm really proud that I pushed myself, and I actually think it turned out really cute. I'll see you all tomorrow for day 7. Day 7, let's be a Kirby. So I'm going to use a water activated paint to completely paint my face pink. That was really difficult to say, oh my god. I personally knew I just wanted to do the face because Kirby's kind of just a face with legs, so I didn't bother painting my neck or ears. Once I was happy with the coverage of the paint, I took a similar coloured eyeshadow and used that as a powder. If your paint's a little patchy, this is also a great way to help even it out a little. I checked in with my little Kirby and I decided to go for a hot pink eyeshadow as the blush. I considered doing the circles, but I wanted to go all the way, so I just put the blush all over my cheeks. I also decided to take it onto the nose as well, just because I thought it would look extra cute. I also noticed my eyes were getting quite creasy, so I went in and really packed on the eyeshadow. And I knew I just wanted to keep the eyes really simple, so I just put this like pink shimmer all over the lids. I decided to use a kind of reddish pink mascara to do my brows. Threw on a little mascara, and I totally forgot to at first, but I lined my eyes with a baby pink liner. I then took a pale pink shimmery eyeshadow to use as a highlight. Oh, I love it. And then I just took a glossy pink lipstick. We're done. We are a Kirby. Even if not for Halloween, I highly recommend turning yourself into a Kirby. See you tomorrow for day 8. Day 8, Poison Ivy, let's go. I'm wearing a red wig for this, so I'm just filling in my eyebrows with a red eyeshadow. And then my camera cut out, but I packed a dark green eyeshadow onto the lids. I then took a lighter green into the crease to blend it out. Threw on this yellow toned green, which I think really helped tie this all together. And I go back in with the original dark green just to bump up the colour. I don't have a glitter primer, so I've been using an eyeshadow primer, and it definitely works, but it does disturb the product underneath. But it's fine, the glitter covers it, it's all good. And I take a greeny, orangey, goldy glitter. I think this one's from Barry M. And I just pack that onto the inner corner. I do my base as normal until the contour, where I take like our medium green and use that as our contour shade. I really wanted a green highlighter, but I just don't have one, so I decided to go with a kind of golden one just because I feel like that would tie it all together quite nicely. Back to the eyes, I line them with a dark green eyeliner, and I smudge that out using the dark green eyeshadow, and then blend that out using the lighter green eyeshadow. So take some of the gold highlighter in the inner corner. A little mascara. Then I just felt like the neck and chest needed something, so I used that green eyeliner to just draw on like vines. We couldn't skip Ivy's signature red lip. Very standard red lip liner. And then I go over it with a matte red liquid lipstick. That took me far too long to say. Throw on our wig and we are good to go. I wasn't able to post yesterday, so that means that later today we're going to get Ivy's girlfriend. See you then. Day 9, we're being a cute little fairy. So I did foundation and concealer as normal, and then I put on a lot of purple blush. We are going for blush blindness. I'm not really sure why, but I start underneath the eye with a purple shade, and then I blend it out with a hot pink. And on the top lid, I take a more classic purple through the crease. Use a shimmery purple eyeshadow stick to put down some glitter. Take a deep purple through the crease. For some reason, I thought this was a great time to try a new product. It made my eyes burn, and it really disrupted the eyeshadow. And where the brow meets the nose, I take a shimmery purple. And I take a shimmery pink all over the inner corner. I just was not liking how it was looking post glitter topper disaster. A white eyeliner, a little mascara. I then decide the blush still isn't enough, so I go in with a lilac eyeshadow just to really, really build up the colour. And I took a purple highlighter in all the standard places. I wasn't sure what I wanted for the lip, so I started off with this like purple tinted lip balm, and then I just took some of the purple eyeshadow and press that on. And we are done. Let's turn ourselves into Harley Quinn. I won't make you listen to my terrible impression for the whole thing. I used the Glisten Spectra Brow in Sand just to lighten up my brows to match the wig a little more. And I pop on a little eye primer. For this eye, we're taking a black eyeliner all over the lid just as base. We're going to smudge it out. We're going to pack on some black eyeshadow, then blend it out again. And then we're going to do the exact same thing on the other eye, just using red. Red crayon, blend, red shadow. Did my base, now we can finish the eyes. So on the black eye, I line it with the liner and I smudge it out with the black eyeshadow. And same thing on the other side. Throw on some mascara. Sorry, I will stop. On the eye with the black eyeshadow, we draw a red triangle above the brow. On the eye with the red eyeshadow, we draw a black triangle above the eye. And then I do the colour matching the eyeshadow under the eye. For the lips, I started off by lining them with a black liner. And my MVP for this Halloween, the Glisten Juicy Tint in Cherry, and just along the Cupid's bow and like the middle of the bottom lip, I just make those lines a little sharper. And then we're done. I love how this turned out. I think this might be one of my favourite looks I've done. I wear cat ears in all my videos, so let's be a cat. I'm starting off by laying down a base with black eyeliner, and then I just smudge that out. I'm using a black Urban Decay eyeshadow to build up the colour, and then I'm just blending that out. Then I'm taking this deep brown from the same palette just to blend it out and just make it look a little less flat. And I just pack this like charcoal shimmer on top. Once I've both the eyes done, I take a little bit of primer on some tissue paper and just clean up underneath the eyes. Once my base is done, I take the black eyeliner again and I use it to line my eyes, and I put a teensy bit underneath the eye. We're doing the same method here. We're smudging this out, we're packing on the black eyeshadow, we're blending it out with the dark brown. Quick layer of mascara. Using a black eyeliner, I draw on some whisker dots, just in little triangles. As someone who's been watching Dan and Phil obsessively since I was 15, I felt I had to use the eyeliner that most resembled a Sharpie to draw on the whiskers. And at first I thought I'd do them like short and cute, and then I was like, no, fuck it, I want giant whiskers. And I almost forgot to draw on the nose. And then for the lips, I just blend them with the black liner, and I used the Glisten Juicy tint in Blackberry to stain my top lip. I love how this turned out, and I have had a day of looks just going wrong at every corner. So it was nice to do something quick and easy and very, very adorable. Day 13 and full spoilers for Ironheart ahead. So in Ironheart, because Parker made a deal with Mephisto, he starts getting these weird red like veiny scars. And I didn't want to recreate his whole look, but I just wanted to do something with that vibe. You can do whatever kind of base makeup you'd like. I knew I really wanted like the brown smoky eye and the glossy lip. So that's what I went with, but truly it could be anything you want. You could make it super creepy and scary. The world is your oyster. And now for the veins. So using a little angled brush, I just drew on a lot of red wiggly vein lines, and I did that for a while. Mostly focused chest and neck, but I wanted to put a little on the face because towards the end of the show it was coming up onto his face, and I really thought that looked cool. I then mixed a little bit of black and red paint together to make the crevice bits look a little more deeper, and I went over some of the lines with this colour just to break it up a little. If I was to do this again, I would definitely add in some thicker lines and also maybe spend a little longer on the shading, but I really like how this turned out, and I think it's a really simple but effective look. Day 14, let's be a pumpkin. I took a black eyeshadow and I extended out the corners of the mouth. I then drew triangles around my eyes, and I kind of used the base of my bottom lash line to be the base of the triangle. And then I draw kind of a wonky raindrop shape on my nose. Going back to the mouth, I extend the line underneath my bottom lip and bring it back up around. And I start filling in those shapes. I use this like little shading brush just to pack the colour on. Then to make it a little more sharp, I go over it with a black liquid liner. I find drawing very difficult and I have very shaky hands, so I find doing the base and eyeshadow first, which is a lot easier to tidy up. Start drawing on these little lines to be the teeth mark. So I don't know what that part of a pumpkin's called, so same methods to fill in the eyes and the nose. Took an orange eyeshadow around the perimeter of all of our shapes. I decided to connect all the orange sections as well, so the corner of the eyes met at the nose, and the nose connected down to the mouth. I then take this kind of rusty orange shade, and I do this closest to the black. I just wanted to add a little depth to it all. Threw some mascara on my top lashes, lined my waterline with a black, and my eyelids were starting to crack, so I just filled them back in. Love how this turns out. I think it's kind of cute in its own little weird way. I saw this comment this morning and I knew what today's look had to be. I marked with a blue eyeliner where I wanted the mystiqueness to start, and I did my normal makeup for all the rest of my face. I'm using Prosade to stick on my prosthetics. Once my Prosade starts turning clear, I start sticking on the tiny prosthetics. Taking some liquid latex on like a Q-tip and just doing the smaller base. But what would you call these? And we let that all dry. I'm using a blue water activated paint, and I personally find using a setting spray gets me the best application. And yeah, we just make this area really, really blue. And then I'm taking a dark blue eyeshadow. You don't have to set a paint, but I like to do this to try and even out the colour. Especially with blue, it's just really hard to get it even. Take a blue highlighter and I take that along all the face bumps. I really need to find out what to call these. It wasn't very noticeable in person, but I am seeing that like around the little prosthetics needed more paint, and I wish I could go back and fix that, but I can't. I line my eyes with some black, throw on some mascara. This was a super spur of the moment look. I think it's really fun and I really like how it turned out. Day 16, let's turn ourselves into a doll. So I use my everyday foundation and I take a brightening concealer to all the high points of the face, and I set that all down with a bit of powder. Taking a contour, I start like really defining the apples of my cheeks. Contour my nose to make it look a little more button-like, and then I apply a lot of blush to the apples of the cheeks and the tip of the nose. Fill my brows in as normal. I'm not doing anything fancy with the eyeshadow. I'm just using a couple contour shades and highlight just to make them look a bit bigger. I take a white eyeliner and I line my eyes, and I also take it underneath the eye. I pop some corner lashes on under the eye, draw on a little mascara, and my camera cut out. But I popped some more lashes on, and then I just coloured in the middle of the lips with like a pinky red. With the black liquid liner, I just drew out where I wanted all the rips and tears to be. And then I take a white eyeliner and I draw in where I want the stitches to be. I just use a black pencil to add little dots to either end of the stitches just to make it look like they're going more into the skin. I'm laying down some Prozade so I can stick on the cotton, but you could use liquid latex, spirit gum, eyelash glue, anything sticky will do the job. I rip up some cotton balls and just start sticking them on, and then we are done. I think it looks cute, I think it looks weird, I'm all about this. Ella's one of my favourite characters from Steven Universe, so let's turn ourselves into her. We're going to start off by turning ourselves pink. I did my neck and chest off camera because I didn't want to get paint on the shirt. I take a bubblegum pink as my contour, cheekbones, temples, nose, the standard. And I take that same eyeshadow through my crease. I take this bright pink on the outer corner and just blend it in. And then I pop a shimmery pink on the lid. I go under the eye with the bright pink, and I decided to use the shimmery pink as a highlight. I line my eyes with the black and I smudge it out into the lower lash line just so the black tears don't kind of come out of nowhere. I just draw the kind of tear streaks on using a black eyeliner. Put on a nice coat of mascara. I line my lips with a bright pink liner and I fill them in with a pink glossy lipstick. I didn't have a heart-shaped gem lying around, so I said I'd draw one on. I am not good at drawing, so I just did like a base of pink. And then I filled it in with shimmery eyeshadow to make it look more reflective. I love how this turned out. It was so fun, and I really want to make a full cosplay of this character now. Let's turn ourselves into Baby from Five Nights at Freddy's. Step 1. Paint yourself white. I'm going to take a red eyeshadow and use it to put some red circles on the apples of our cheeks. I like to leave the edges kind of hazy, and we can't forget the nose. I filled in my brows off camera. I'm setting around my eyes with a white eyeshadow, and then I'm taking a grey eyeshadow just through the crease. Line our eyes with a white eyeliner, and throw on some mascara. Baby's face is broken up into a lot of little sections and they can all move on their own. So we're drawing in the lines to show what parts of the face can move on their own. We put on a red lipstick and we redefine the black line going down the face. I love how this turned out. Let's turn ourselves into Sabrina Carpenter. I have my foundation, concealer and brows done. So I'm throwing on a lot of blusher. I'm going over the blush with MAC Strobe Cream because I love how glowy she looks on the cover. For the eyes, it seems to be a pretty standard brown smoky eye. So I'm taking a contour shade through the crease to add some shape. Then I'm taking progressively darker browns through the crease and onto the outer corner, but we don't want to take them onto the inner corner. Put a light shimmer on the inner corner, and then I take a highlight shadow on the nose to brow bone area. I don't know what that part of your face is. I draw on some messy eyeliner with a brown liner and just smudge that out. Tighten waterline with that same brown, and then we're smudging that out with a medium brown. Put on a heavy layer of mascara. For the lip, I'm taking the Rimmel Cappuccino lip liner. I'm blending it out a little. Her lip liner is still quite defined, so not too much. And then I'm using the Cash Beauty lip oil in Spicy Marg to fill in the lips. And we are ready for our night out. Let's turn ourselves into zombie Taylor Swift. She's wearing a blue chiffon dress, and this is as close as I have, and I know I should wear a blonde wig, but I just could not get it to line up right. Taking my latex milk, which makes me feel ill, I put random patches of it around my face, and then using the end of a brush and just my nails, I pick some holes in it just to make the skin look gross and decaying. I specifically really wanted to build up the cheekbones because hers are really pronounced in the video. So I lay down a layer of liquid latex, I put cotton over it, and then I saturate that in more latex. Just shape it into a cheekbony-ish shape. But again, we're a zombie, we're looking for a weird texture. I did the other cheekbone, I did more of the latex patches on my neck and chest, and I painted my neck and chest white, and now I'm just painting the face white. Ideally you would have used like a sheerer paint, but this is all I had. Using a grey eyeshadow, I make the underneath of our new cheekbones look even more hollow, and I kind of start to drag it down the cheek towards the mouth. I start applying the grey to the forehead, the nose, the chin. Around the cheekbones and temples, I go in with the black paint and I just tap it out so it's not too harsh. And then I fill in around the eyes. The darkness around her eyes, her brows aren't really there, but my eyes are just so hooded, it just felt more normal to fill them in, so that's what I went with. I paint the lips black, I scrunch up my lips and dab a white paint over them, just so the mouth isn't so harsh. I line my eyes, and I set the paint around my eyes with black eyeshadow. This was really fun, and I wouldn't usually use a black and white palette for a zombie, so it was fun to have this. Inspired by Aubrey Plaza's MCU character. The eyes were taking a light brown all over the lid, and then we're blending that out with a slightly darker and warmer toned brown. I take a grey eyeshadow on the outer corner and just below the eyebrow meeting the nose. I throw on a baby wing of eyeliner. Using the end of a mascara wand, I start dotting along where we did the grey eyeshadow and the eyeliner. And I take some black eyeliner just to smudge it out and make it all a little messier. I take more of the grey eyeshadow and start building it up on the outer corner. And I take a teensy bit of black. You probably should do all of this before the eyeliner, but didn't look at my reference picture often enough, and I just realised mine wasn't dark enough. And I pulled black underneath the eye as well. Throw on some black eyeliner, a nice heavy coat of mascara, and check in for part 2 and all of the disasters that happened with trying to do the skull. Part 2, and oh my god, this skull gave me hell. I still don't love how this turned out, but I wanted to share it anyway because I really pushed myself and I really tried. I did the first half off camera because everything was going wrong. This was my 3rd attempt. I kept trying to make it bigger and more detailed, and I just couldn't. I'm gonna be real, I just don't have the skills for it yet. So even though I still don't really like how this turned out, I wanted to share it. Because I feel like if this was me this time last year, I would have given up and never come back to this. And I'm really proud of myself for, even though I have to change it and make it a lot simpler and I still struggled, that I think I got a really cool look out of it in the end.